This is an article that I had sent to me from Bon Appetit. And the article says, have high prices killed the joy of trying new restaurants? And I don't know, but if you're a lot like me, I love trying new restaurants. I try new restaurants everywhere I go, all over the country. It's one of the greatest things about traveling. And with me tonight, we have one of the executive leaders and the beverage director from Red Cow and Red Rabbit restaurants to talk about this, Ian Lowther. Ian, are you with us? Ian, are you there?
I'm supposed to be here. Can you hear me?
I can now, Ian. Yes, I can absolutely hear you. Welcome to Sound Off. And we are talking about we are so excited to have you. And we are talking about the article that both you and I have read about have high prices killed the joy of trying new restaurants. And with 8 restaurants within Red Cow and Red Rabbit, tell me your thoughts on this. This is an interesting question, especially for people that love to try new restaurants.
Well, we've talked about it a ton in our executive meetings and with our leadership teams, because it really has become apparent that people are price conscious, and they should be. I think a lot of dining experiences have gone up. I recently went out with a friend, and we got dinner and kind of weren't thinking about what we were buying, and the bill came across, and it was over $300. And mind you, I like restaurants and I like food, so that's part of personally, that I was a part of that. It's partially my problem too. But it was shocking, and it was something that I didn't expect, and it's just interesting to see some of those prices rise and how much we've tried to be that affordable place for people.
Well, I know that you guys have. I mean, we've worked together for a long time, so I know the focus on providing that ultimate guest experience. And how important is that right now, especially with the rising costs of everything, but let's just say the rising costs of food, beverages. How important is it for restaurants to deliver the optimal experience for the guest?
It's actually the main focus for us right now. We've obviously raised prices. We've done it for many, many reasons, but the focus the entire time is whenever we raise prices is how can we make the experience better for the person? How can we make the guest that walks into the building feel like they're taken care of? We talk, and it's not just from a service aspect from your server or your bartender to the table. It's how can the host at the front door be more welcoming? How can and even when you're coming, whether you're coming or going, how can, if you're waiting, there's, our restaurants are busy. We have some of them are small footprints and some of them are in high traffic areas. And so sometimes there's a 30, 45 hour long wait. And what I talk about when I train all the time is there's restaurants, you could throw a stone and hit 5. So how can we make sure that the guest feels like their time is more valuable by being inside of this restaurant and waiting for a table here than if they would walk across the street and be able to sit down right away? Right. And how can we make our restaurants feel more welcoming in that way? And then there's also the food coming out of the kitchen. How can, I've said this more times than I can count, but we make, if you're at Red Rabbit, we see 2 dozen, 3 dozen cavatellis go out every night, or this pasta or that pasta. If you're working behind the bar, you're making 12 to 2 dozen old fashions or that many espresso martinis every single night. But the guest that receives that drink, it's going to be maybe their only one, or it's the only pasta they're certainly going to get that day. So how can we put love and care into that? Because we may see so many go out of the kitchen, but what can we make look like that is perfect every time it hits the table? Because that's their one experience.
That's right. And I know that you have a very unique focus at Red Cow and Red Rabbit. Your core purpose is to create raving fans, and your whole team is on board with that.
Absolutely. From the host, the sometimes 19-year-old, 17-year-old host at the front door to our GM, some of whom actually today is the 11-year anniversary of Red Cow, so this is very serendipitous on that. But
well, congratulations, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much. Our general manager at 50th Street has been with us since we opened. He's been there 11 years, and so from our young people to our people who have been with us for over a decade, how can everyone focus on that singular thing and that singular and that really is the main thing, is how can we make people not just want to come in and enjoy themselves, but leave singing the song, praising the gospel of Red Cow and Red Rabbit.
That's right. Well, a huge shout out to Grant, because I know the GM there at 50th Street, and he's amazing. Let me ask you this. I know that the article was written recently, but how impactful was the pandemic? Now we're going on the 4-year anniversary, right? It's coming up. Mm-hmm. How impactful was the pandemic in the world of restaurants, or at least at Red Cow and Red Rabbit?
Well, it's the most bizarre thing, because it was literally the most stressful thing that's ever happened to us as a company and us as a group. We were meeting not just once a day, sometimes we were meeting 4 or 5 times a day trying to figure out what the next day was going to bring, whether it was regulations from the government or changes from guests or, questions of how we needed to pivot based on what we were looking for, or grill kit, whatever. Like, the amount of things that we did to stay top of mind was mind-boggling. So that was the stressful part of it. And then the other side of it was how much outpouring of support there was from the community looking to support us and buy gift cards and come and get to-go food. It was truly emotionally and physically overwhelming, because sometimes we were just like, oh, well, we're not good at this yet because we don't know how to do to-go food for, 500 people on a Friday night.
That's
we can serve 1,000 people inside the restaurant, but that's harder. So that was one aspect to it, and it was crazy.
And I remember when you shifted into the takeout world, you were still creating raving fans. You still had a line of cars coming by to pick up food. Yeah,
and it was really nice because we had so much grace from people, and we eventually got really good at it, and now we're good at it, which is really fun. And we're back in the swing of things. But the thing that it really exposed for us was how complacent we had become, not just with with operational issues, but with how we could connect with our people and connect with our guests, connect with the people that come into the restaurant every day, because we were able to kind of change our mindset of how we can outreach to these people. They weren't the really thing that became true that we saw as a reality was that we want to create relationships with the guests that are coming in every week and and that is actually the lifeblood of our business. We've said this for years, but we serve burgers, we serve cocktails, we serve pasta, we serve pizza, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, we're in the experience business. Yes. And if we can create a connection with the guests, a connection with people, a connection with even someone who's just picking up to-go food, and that's what they're doing that day. If they have, oftentimes you're seeing people that walk in and they're getting, 5 pieces of to-go food, and it's because they had a long day and they need to pick it up and they need to go home to their family because their kids are crazy right now. And it's how can we facilitate that so that their life is easier and they don't have to call us and be like, hey, you missed a salad or you missed a shake or whatever we've done. Obviously we make those mistakes from time to time, but how can we not do that in the first place? And if we do, then how can we fix it as quickly as possible? Because the important thing is making them happy and making their day.
I just love the way all of you leveled up during this whole time period. There was a lot of innovation, just so much creativity, so much passion on still maintaining raving fans. And you've got a couple new restaurants. So not only Rochester, but you just opened up Wayzata.
Yeah, that opened in October, and it's our first. Besides so Rochester was our first not Metro Twin Cities restaurant, and Wayzata is our first not Minneapolis or St. Paul restaurant. And it's been that community is so tight knit and so wonderful, and they've embraced us immediately, and we've tried to embrace them too because we brought them into the Red Cow fold, or if we want to really get to the nitty gritty, the Red Cow cult as we call it on our side.
Well, let me ask you this as we wrap up here. What's the hottest drink at either Red Cow or Red Rabbit right now?
So at Red Rabbit, for sure, it's the espresso martini still. People are losing their mind about it. I was in there earlier today and they sold 107 at Red Rabbit last night, which is crazy. That's that's for context. Normally you're selling 20 or 30 a night or something. And you're like, wow, we made a lot of those. So this is far and away. And honestly, at Red Cow, it's still the classic Moscow Mule. It's been our staple for almost a decade now. And We make our own ginger beer. We infuse our own vodka. We do all the things right, and people still love it, and it just flies out the door. We're really leaning into cocktails and wine right now because that's where my skill set is, and so let's lean into the skill set.
Well, Ian, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you so much for coming on. Thanks for addressing that question about the high prices, and thanks for all that you guys do. I want to encourage everybody that's listening to get out to Red Cow and Red Rabbit and try the ultimate guest experience. So, Ian, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me, Eric. It was great.
Thank you.